안녕하세요. I'm Chef Edward Lee. I'm always a chef. In my heart, I like to do many things, but in my heart, I'm a chef. So, welcome. Thank you to everybody. You know, as Korean immigrants in America, it's very easy to lose your culture. We were so busy becoming American that we didn't learn a lot about Korean history. You know, we celebrated Korean holidays, but a lot of culture. And so for me, without having the culture, close to me, I always looked at food as my connection, to Korean culture. And I've always wanted to connect with my Korean culture and didn't know how. And so food was a very easy way. And food, you don't need words, you just need ingredients. And I always believe food is not just for eating to get full, right? Food is art, food is storytelling, food is connection. Food is love and respect and care and all these things combined. So to me, it is my lifelong mission to understand food, understand culture, and if I can make connections, not just myself, but through customers and people who eat my food, if they can see something surprising or have something thoughtful, or find something interesting in the food. I love also inspiring people to connect their own story to food, right? So everybody has a story. Everybody knows how to cook something, and we can all do the same thing. And I think it's a beautiful thing when you can make food mean more than just getting full. I think food has a lot of power behind it. And those are the reasons why I constantly try to invent new recipes and find new connections.
The second keyword, which is innovate. Why do you still continue to make a life innovation that innovation has to go hand in hand with heritage?
When I first became a chef, when I was a young person, I loved creating new things, and I loved learning, and I loved challenging myself. And just because we get old, we shouldn't stop that feeling. And so that's always been my dream and my joy, to become a chef and to constantly create new dishes. And so now that I'm older, why stop doing that? I'm very fortunate to be able to have a position where I can still cook and create and have opportunities. So I feel it is also my obligation, especially if I have people who are fans and follow me and watch me. I also want to give them 100% and keep them interested and make sure that I'm doing things that are interesting and innovative. To me, innovation is really just looking at history and finding a new story to tell. As humans, or as chefs, as artists, whatever you want to say, I don't invent anything new, right? I just look at history and I find different ways to make combinations. When we talk, if you don't understand history, your innovation becomes empty, because you have to understand the past in order to look to the future. A future without connection to the past is useless, right? So to me, I always find inspiration in the past. Maybe there were some recipes or some ingredients or things that people have forgotten about. And then I always ask myself, why is that not popular now? It used to be popular. And then I try to think, well, is that something we can bring back? I'm just connecting the future and the past. That's innovation. It's not rejecting the past to create future. It's really trying to bring something in the past to the future. So, and I think part of my goal in my journey right now, I have the opportunity is to learn as much as I can about Korean food and Korean history as it relates. Most of my knowledge of Korean food came really from my family. Now I'm trying to learn about all of Korean history.
Our third and last keyword is prosper. So why as a chef are you so interested in building a sustainable future for
We all want to prosper. We all want to advance. We all want to see a really progressive future. When you're a chef, you understand things about nature and agriculture that I think most people don't see. For example, we get our fish from the oceans, and so I see very clearly when there's no fish in the ocean or the fish has become very expensive because they're overfished. And I always say every chef is a agriculturalist, like every chef understands nature and agriculture and farming because we have to, because we get all of our ingredients from there. So I want to make sure that we have a future that's beautiful and healthy and natural, just like I remember when I was young. More restaurants, travel, more of everything, more plastics. It becomes very alarming to me how we're going to continue to live in a society where we have to protect our most treasured resource, which is nature. And so as a chef, I feel some responsibility to it because I take a lot from nature to make my food and my cocktails. So I feel a responsibility to also give back to it.
At this point, I'd like to reveal a little secret. The keywords I chose today are actually the main theme of the upcoming
Oh, okay.
leader
Yeah, so I'm helping to do a collaborative dinner with the chefs at the Lotte Hotel. We're doing a couple of my dishes, a couple of their dishes, and really I would love to tell the story of Korean food and Korean ingredients and how it has become just global. The unifying factor of Korean food. I think Korean food is something that has been very traditional, and now all of a sudden it's become global, and everyone is obsessed with Korean food. And so right now, really more than any other time, Korean food is enjoying a spotlight around the world. So we want to show two things, both the beauty of traditional Korean food, like we don't have to touch that. It can stay the way it is and traditional and beautiful, but also that Korean food can also be innovative and global, and that it can mix with other cuisines. Typically for me, like an American perspective. And so we kind of want to show that Korean food is both beautiful in its traditional form, but also beautiful in its innovative form. Whenever we have these gatherings too, whether it's political leaders or CEOs, I think it's important that we gather for good food, right? People, I always say it's very difficult to argue when you're having good food, right? So good food makes people feel better, and hopefully that leads to good things.